Hi there, good evening. Hope you had a great Sunday. And now it's time to look forward to the coming week. Welcome back to this week's edition of Looking Forward. The show is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and would have consequences for your life and mine and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and world's politics and economics going forward. So let's get going. First two stories tonight on India's defense preparedness. This week would see the Indian Navy in action along with naval forces from around the world joining in, at least 25. The International Fleet Review is a pin-up event, the pictures of which give goosebumps to those who get a kick watching our war machine in action in its full glory. Second related story is of the Defense Ministry going all in for a big push to IAF's squadron strength. Would it be the American F-35 or the tried and tested Rafale? We would know this week. Then we take you to Dhaka for our third story. Bangladesh is holding its national elections on February 12th to get representative democracy back in place. The foreign-imposed Yunus regime is on its last legs. Campaign is hot on the ground, and the picture for now does not look good for India. BNP or Jamaat. Either way, we are closely watching. From Bangladesh, we go to West Asia for the story number 4, where tenuous calm prevails with an undercurrent of tensions that can erupt anytime. The United States and Iran had a round of talks in Muscat, Oman this week, and the following week would see the respective negotiators meet again. Would it blow up before that, or would truce be reached? We get you the details. And for story number 5, finally, an interesting development. India is set to change how it measures inflation, with the Consumer Price Index getting a facelift. The 2012 series would be replaced with 2024 prices on Feb 12. For example, the bread and butter on your breakfast table would carry less weight now than the mobile phone in your hands. This one, or the earpods you wear. We would make it easier for you to understand how the change impacts your life. Like always, let's begin with the headlines.
After 2-3 days, Congress people started engrossing it. Then I realized that this picture is true. Then we open up the entire investigation because it cannot be in isolation.
Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma launches a broadside against Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi's suspicious 10-day Pakistan visit in December of 2013 and asks him to disclose details of his stay months before he was elected to the Lok Sabha. Sarma has called Gogoi a national security threat.
Links to George Soros via Senator Tom Udali. Employment with Lead Pakistan, refused to disclose Pakistani bank account, predetermined employed contract with Lean India, shadow employment arrangement to facilitate salary 500 higher.
Based on a probe by the Assam police, Sarma pivoted his attack on Gaurav Gogoi at a press conference in Dispur today, alleging that the Congress leader's wife Elizabeth Kolban Gogoi had clear Pakistani links and multiple bank accounts in Pakistan, accusing her of ferrying confidential information to Pak, adding she was effectively managed by Pakistan.
Chief Minister has embarrassed himself on national stage. After a 2.5-hour long press conference, he was not even able to convince the journalists in the room. If you listen to the questions asked by the journalists, even they were not convinced.
Gogoi immediately hit back over Pak link allegations, calling the Chief Minister's press conference a super flop and an attempt at diverting attention from serious questions over his family land holdings in the state. Heralding a reset in ties after NSA Ajit Doval's meet with his Canadian counterpart in Ottawa on Feb 7, Canada has distanced itself from anti-India forces. It was also agreed in the NSA's meet that each country would establish security and law enforcement liaison officers and that their respective agencies would build on working relationships. As the political and legal confrontation over SIR in Bengal escalates, Mamata Banerjee is likely to appear in person before the apex court again on Monday, that's tomorrow. The hearing on Wednesday last saw Mamata argue her plea, directly raising concern that the ongoing SIR process is opaque, rushed and could disenfranchise eligible voters ahead of the state's upcoming assembly elections. Bangladesh Cricket Board President Aminul Islam, PCB Chairman Mohsin Naqvi and ICC Director Imran Khwaja are set to participate in negotiations to reverse Pakistan's boycott of their T20 World Cup game against India, and that's on Feb 15. Khwaja and Mubashir Usmani, another ICC Director, have been involved in back-channel discussions concerning the game ever since Naqvi cast doubts on Pakistan's participation in the India fixture during the tournament. All right, welcome back, friends. Let's start. If Op Sindoor had one Indian weapon that played biggest deterrent, it was the Indian Navy, the entire force. As the Army and the Air Force engaged and delivered hard blows to Pakistani targets, Indian Navy's armadas in the Arabian Sea pinned the Pakistani ships inside Karachi harbour and prevented escalation. The world would get a glimpse of that naval might as 24 other navies joined for an international fleet review by the President of India this week in Visakhapatnam. The review would be followed by Exercise Milan, which would see 50 navies from across the globe participate in a show of maritime cooperation and interoperability. Beginning Feb 15, India's fortnight of naval diplomacy would culminate with an International Indian Ocean Symposium on February 25.
India is set to host a historic maritime convergence in February 2026, bringing together global navies at Visakhapatnam. The International Fleet Review 2026, Exercise Milan and the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium Conclave of Chiefs will be held together for the first time. The mega event operationalizes Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Mahasagar vision for security and growth across regions.
International Fleet Review is actually the President's Fleet Review. The Honorable President reviews the fleet, being the Supreme Commander. Same opportunity is being used to invite the ships of the friendly country who can also see as to what the Indian Navy is capable of, how big is the Indian Navy and what all capability does it have. Now the operational perspective is very, very big. If Navy has got the ships which are on display, then it's a very powerful Navy. You project your power not by really firing, though there will be an operational demonstration, and that will give the viewer a good idea of the some capability of the Navy. Because Navy's action is all at distant sea, it is not on a coastline. But they will do their best to project as to what does the missile firing look like, how do these ships destroy an incoming missile. So this is the crux of the whole thing. So it gives the Supreme Commander an opportunity to see the readiness of the Navy, because she is the Supreme Commander, she is head of all three services. So she is quite entitled to review the fleet. They normally do fleet review once in their tenure. Probably that is what is happening.
A presidential fleet review at sea will showcase India's indigenous naval power, including INS Vikrant and next-generation warships. Warships from friendly foreign nations, the Indian Coast Guard and Merchant Marine will join the review.
there's a lot of messaging being done to countries who are not so friendly to you, to show them that we have power, everything is functional, and we will not hesitate in using if so required by the time. So strategic messaging, our capability of presenting so many ships, aircraft, submarines in one place, demonstrating some part of their firepower. So the messaging is that don't mess around with India. If you mess around and the Navy comes into action, it could be very, very disastrous. It also gives a message to the countries who are not very friendly that look, we are ready and we can go anywhere, and if you want to trouble India, we can also use the maritime domain to cause a lot of damage to you. So they will look at it as to, my goodness, all our trade is through the Indian Ocean, all our energy lines are through the Indian Ocean, coming from Gulf or coming from African coast or coming from the southern America, and they can be really be in danger in case those countries wish to create problems on our land border. The Navy can easily disrupt all their energy lines, which in effect will mean that their ability to fight a war, their ability to run the Navy, because energy is required for everything.
Combat ready.
Exercise Milan will focus on interoperability, anti-submarine warfare, air defense, and search and rescue operations. An international city parade along Vishakhapatnam's RK Beach will take maritime diplomacy to the streets. Naval chiefs from over 25 nations will attend the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium conclave as India assumes its second chairmanship.
As far as diplomacy is concerned, I must say that this is a step in the right direction, because in the present turbulent times that we see, especially in the South China Sea and Indo-Pacific region, we find that there have been a lot of problems when it comes to navigating through the South China Sea. And this will be a strong message to China as well to other Indian adversaries and other countries, say that we can now portray, we can now showcase ourselves, our strength on the international level. This is something which I would say is an opportunity for us to show our growth, naval growth, especially in the modern technology field, and as well as when it comes to our manufacturing the ships, submarines, and aircraft carriers. This also gives us an opportunity, showcase to the other nations that we are a nation now which can export the defense equipment and hardware to the other countries as well.
The convergence underlines India's role as preferred security partner and a responsible maritime power.
India hosting the International Fleet Review in Vizag this February, I think it carries profound strategic significance. Particularly, it provides India to showcase its indigenously built naval ships. Over the last year, we have inducted several frigates, and most importantly, I think INS Vikrant is going to be the focal point of this show as well. And the sheer volume of this entire event also speaks about how significant it is for India's maritime dominance or significance in the region. So more than 19 countries are participating. Approximately 4,000 to 5,000 delegates are going to be part of this entire event. So that sends a broader message to our partners and allies that India remains prepared. India is a credible partner to be trusted in the Indian Ocean region, or perhaps in the broader naval region.
From hosting its first International Fleet Review in Mumbai in 2001 to transforming Exercise Milan into a premier multilateral naval exercise, India's maritime engagement has steadily expanded.
India has also, over a period of time, has showcased and proven itself that it remains committed to securing maritime domain, be it through anti-piracy operation or countering terrorism in the naval domain. We have seen over the instances in the past couple of years how Indian Navy has been in the forefront of fighting piracy and also protecting and safeguarding maritime operations through conducted by civilian vessels. So I think overall it does bring India to a very important stage. And I think showcasing our indigenously built ships also introduces our partners and allies to partner with India. So it also opens up a lot above naval diplomacy. It is also a part of building cooperation on defense and building economic partnerships with different countries and jointly develop broader systems, bigger ships, and perhaps more significant warfighting capacities.
More than a display of naval might, February 2026 conversion turns maritime tradition into strategic cooperation, reinforcing India's position as a responsible maritime power committed to security, stability, and growth across regions.
All right. India missed a fourth-generation fighter jet during Operation Balakot in 2019, limiting tactical options before the commanders. With the coming of Rafales later, that gap was plugged and we saw its impact during Operation Sindoor last year. But the numbers were not enough. Now, amid an ongoing indigenization push for Tejas, a decision seems to have been taken by the national security establishment that let's have some more squadrons of this generation of fighter aircraft so that the IAF is Op Sindoor 2.0 ready. Whether the American F-35 is still on the table or the race is settled with the next tranche of 114 Rafales is something we would know this week when the Defense Ministry Committee on Acquisitions meets this week. India is looking forward to it.
India is gearing up for what could be one of its largest defense purchases in the years. The Defense Ministry is set to review rupees 3.25 lakh crore proposal to procure 114 Rafale jets next week. If cleared, it will move to the next stage, formal negotiations with the France. The timing is significant. The DAC meet is scheduled just days before French President Emmanuel Macron's visit to New Delhi. The move underscores deepening Indo-French defense ties while signaling India's intent to rapidly modernize its air power. Under the current plan, the IAF would get 88 single-seat and 26 twin-seat Rafales. Around 80% of the jets are expected to be manufactured in India under the Make in India push. With advanced sensors, long-range missiles and multi-role flexibility, the Rafale remains central to IAF's immediate combat readiness plan.
We need Rafale because we don't have the numbers in the Air Force right now. Our sanction strength is 42. Our desired, as per the capability enhancement report, which was released a couple of months ago, is 65. We are currently at 30. And our depletion rate is such that next 10 years, if we don't induct anything, we'll be down to 20. So we need more than 2 squadrons every year over the next 10 years to just be able to get to 42. So the strategic significance of Rafale or anything else that we choose is, unless we induct an aircraft of this type, we will be left with a very depleted and hollowed out Air Force. In that sense, we need a Rafale or Rafale-like platform if we wish to remain a credible aircraft. Comparing Rafale and F-35 is slightly unfair because Rafale is a twin-engine medium-class aircraft and F-35 is a fifth-generation single-engine aircraft. In terms of plane capabilities, F-35 is more capable. It has stealth, the sensor fusion is better, and when armed with American weapons, it is noses ahead of Rafale. But in our context, when we compare Rafale with F-35, we have to figure out that Rafale is available and F-35 is not.
Defense planners have stressed that bolstering aerial capabilities is essential given evolving regional security challenges. The urgency is also driven by numbers. The IAF currently operates around 29 fighter squadrons against a sanctioned strength of 42. The proposed deal is also designed to expand domestic aerospace manufacturing capacity through technology transfer and local production. In the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, the focus now lies on the faster response, deeper strike range and sustained air dominance.
During Operation Sindoor, Rafale has played a significant role wherein it has managed to hit number of targets of Pakistan, especially on 6th, 7th night, the 9 terror infrastructure, and thereafter on night of 9th, 10th May, wherein it could hit the 11 frontline airfields, and Pakistan air defense was totally neutralized. Now, as far as India is concerned, we need 42.5 squadron. However, after MiG-21 has been decommissioned, India is only left with 29 squadron, and therefore there is a requirement of immediately procuring more fighter aircraft. And considering the plus of how it was a force multiplier during Operation Sindoor, the government is now deciding to go for 114 Rafale. Once Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, will visit this a week or especially after about few days end of this month. It's a big deal. It's about 3.25 lakh crore, but it's going to be a force multiplier. The reason is simple. The Rafale has outplayed all the aircraft of its generation, especially the Pakistani JF-10C and JF-17 during Operation Sindoor, wherein it could hit with impunity, whether it is on 6th, 7th night when it has destroyed the Pakistani 9 terror infrastructure, or on 9th, 10th when 11 frontline airfields of Pakistan were destroyed.
Beyond capability, the deal carries diplomatic weight. Stronger defense ties with France will help India diversify suppliers and retain strategic autonomy.
In some ways, the United States sees France as a competitor. The United States and France have never had a very cozy relationship, even though both are members of NATO. For some time, France had quit the integrated command of NATO. It used to be based in Paris, and I think then it moved to Brussels. So they've had this kind of thing where France tries to practice what I would call sovereign autonomy. Look, we like the Americans. You've been our protectors. You were involved in liberating us from Germany during the Second World War. But that doesn't mean we'll be your chamchas forever. Essentially, if you look at it, the United States is fighting many wars across the world. It has many enemies. It gets involved wherever it can. France, which has one of the world's largest military industries, is not fighting any war. They're supplying stuff to Ukraine, that we all know. But in war with Russia, much as they boast about it, they can do this, that, and the other. As far as West Africa is concerned and Central Africa, France has been booted out. They've been thrown out, and that's, we are told, the Americans have something to do with it. France played its role in stabilizing West Africa and Central Africa after the Second World War. In fact, the only reason why France, a defeated country, got a permanent seat in the UN Security Council is because they were able to tell the rest of their bosses in the United States and Britain that, look, you leave Africa to us, West and Central Africa, we will keep it on the side of the so-called liberal democratic powers. Now, America feels that France is trying to flex its muscles in the region and follow a foreign policy that sometimes is independent of what the European Union and NATO wants. So they want to cut France to size. And I believe this controversy about the Rafale aircraft and so on is part of that larger picture.
As India moves close to its fighter gap and boost domestic production, this procurement could reshape both air forces, combat strength, and the trajectory of Indo-French strategic cooperation in the years ahead.
Moving on, Bangladesh votes in 4 days, the first election since Sheikh Hasina's fall. For India, the stakes are exceptionally high at a time when ties under interim chief Mohammad Yunus have hit an all-time low. Thus, the manifestos of the Tariq Rahman-led Bangladesh Nationalist Party and the Jamaat-e-Islami hold significance for Delhi amid rising anti-India sentiment and attacks on Hindus and other minorities in its backyard. Hence, for us, this is not routine neighborhood politics. This is about our eastern frontier, Hindu minority, and our strategic space. After a decade of betting on Sheikh Hasina, New Delhi is now watching closely as Dhaka recalibrates towards Pakistan, towards China, and away from India. Tonight, in Looking Forward, what the two frontrunners are actually promising and whether India can trust the words. Bangladesh holds a defining election this week on February 12, the first since Sheikh Hasina's dramatic ouster from power in August 2024. For India, this is a neighbor that could redefine South Asia's balance of power.
I think these elections are among the most critical in what they are trying to do. Because, first of all, these elections are neither free nor fair, nor are they inclusive. They are non-participatory. And this has made the election process into a complete mockery because the Awami League has been deliberately banned. The activities of Awami League have been banned and no rhyme or reason has been given for that. And as a result, the Awami League is not allowed to campaign and not allowed to participate in the elections. But the Awami League is the single largest party. It is not an election, it is a kind of a selection between BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and the Jamaat-e-Islami.
This election comes after a political upheaval that reshaped Bangladesh. For a decade, New Delhi had a stable connect with Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League government.
Bangladesh in some ways can be a crucial strategic foothold for the US to maintain its presence and counter China's influence in the Indian Ocean region, a core goal of the Indo-Pacific framework. Now, there are lots of other things. Bangladesh receives the largest amount of assistance from the United States in Asia for health, food security, governance, etc. Interestingly, some of us remember that a few months before the former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled her country, she claimed that she was offered a hassle-free re-election if she allowed a foreign country to build an airbase inside Bangladesh. She did not name the country, but said that the offer had come from a white man.
Hasina kept Pakistan at arm's length, balanced China carefully, and worked closely with India on security and connectivity. That balance has come undone in 2024. In came Mohammad Yunus, carefully nurtured by the West.
last 18 months, the way Mohammad Yunus and his advisors had worked, they had worked either on the indications or support of the Pakistani lobby in Bangladesh or the American lobby in Bangladesh. Now there is election on 12th February, and in this election, I think there are allegations that this election would not be free and fair. They have already eliminated Awami League from the electoral process, and the BNP is also questioning about the campaigning and about the elections that they are asking. Let's have free and fair elections. It should not be hijacked or manipulated by the Jamaat cadre in Bangladesh. So let's see that how this 12th February election will be different from the earlier elections, which was questioned by the United States and many other countries in 2014, 2018 and 2024.
Under interim chief Mohammad Yunus, Bangladesh's foreign policy shifted sharply. Ties with Pakistan were reset. China encouraged to expand its footprint in the region.
Eastern part of India, called Seven Sisters, they are landlocked country, landlocked region of India. They have no way to reach out to the ocean. We are the only guardian of the ocean for all this region. So this opens up a huge possibility. So this could be an extension of the Chinese economy, build things, produce things, market things, bring things to China, bring it out to the whole rest of the world.
And radical Islamist elements found renewed political space. For India, the consequences are immediate.
Average, ordinary Bangladeshi perceive. They have no intentions of becoming a global superpower or anything like that. They just want to be allowed to go along the path in terms of development, which they had been going before this buffoon came in and put the economy in reverse gear. There's massive inflation, there's unemployment, the prices are soaring, going through the roof. In fact, Bangladesh might even contract instead of growing this year. It had been growing very fast, but now the economy is in reverse gear. So whatever happens in the elections, they will need India. The fellow that Mohammad Useless Khan will run away. He'll need our help to flee because he'll be lynched. People blame him for the present woes of Bangladesh.
So what are the options Bangladesh's political establishment is offering its people? With Hasina's Awami League banned, it's a choice between two manifestos and two different signals. First, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Led by Tariq Rahman, son of late Begum Khaleda Zia, the BNP is pitching itself as a liberal democratic alternative. Its slogan, Shobar Aage Bangladesh, Bangladesh First. Nations as friends, not overseers, seems clearly aimed at India. Bangladesh will not interfere in the internal affairs of other nations and will not accept interference in its own. This comes after controversial remarks questioning India's northeast and the Siliguri corridor.
By protecting the interest of the people of Bangladesh and our sovereignty, whoever will be or whatever contract will be suitable for my people, for my country, will have friendship with them.
Because history complicates the picture, India-BNP relations have never been seamless. Border killings, push-ins, smuggling, issues that have repeatedly strained ties between the two countries is spiked during BNP rule. Then there is the Jamaat-e-Islami. Once banned, politically marginalized, now resurgent. For the first time, Jamaat's manifesto explicitly mentions India. It promises peaceful, friendly and cooperative relations based on mutual respect. A notable shift from its past and its historical alignment with Pakistan during the 1971 war. Opinion polls suggest a tight contest. The BNP holds a slim edge. Jamaat follows closely, buoyed by student politics and campus influence. But beyond diplomacy lies a deeper concern for India: the safety of minorities, particularly Hindus.
We continue to witness a disturbing pattern of recurring attacks on minorities that you referred, as well as their homes and establishments, business establishments by extremists in Bangladesh. Such communal incidents need to be dealt with swiftly and firmly. We have also observed a troubling tendency to attribute such incidents to personal rivalries, personal vendettas, political differences and other extraneous reasons. Such disregard only emboldens the extremists and the perpetrators of such crimes and deepens the sense of fear and insecurity among the minorities.
December alone, for example, saw over 50 incidents of communal violence, lives lost. Fear is spreading. Radicalization is of the kind that even BNP fears Jamaat coming to power might turn Bangladesh into Afghanistan.
কাজ না করলে কাউকে টাকা দেবে হবে নাকি? এরা জামাত ইসলাম এই দেশ থেকে আফগানিস্তানে করে নিয়ে যেতে চায়। জামাত ইসলাম একটা দল, যে দলটা আমাদেরকে সামনের দিকে যেতে বাধা দেয়।
The situation is very dire, and India has repeatedly said that we want inclusive elections in Bangladesh. Free, fair and inclusive elections in order that these elections can be considered credible. Otherwise, the elections are not credible. I think India needs to look at this very seriously, because since they have not included the Awami League, these elections cannot be considered credible. And I think we have to think whether we should even recognize the election results or not.
February 12th would be closely watched by New Delhi and the world. All right, from Bangladesh to West Asia, the United States and Iran are talking again, indirectly in Oman, reopening a diplomatic channel frozen by years of mistrust. While both sides call the talks constructive, sanctions have tightened and U.S. warships remain on alert. With another round of talks hinted at, the coming days will test whether this is the start of serious negotiations or just another pause before pressure resumes. What happens next could redefine the Middle East. Will the coming weeks bring a genuine nuclear framework, or will mistrust and muscle flexing push the region towards another flashpoint? Here's looking forward to the possibilities.
Iran remains restless. Streets simmering, voices suppressed, fear enforced. Months of protests met with gunfire, mass arrests, and near total information blackouts. But as the regime tightens its grip at home, it has reopened a diplomatic door abroad with the United States. In the coming days and weeks, these indirect talks could either build towards a narrow nuclear deal or collapse under the weight of unresolved mistrust.
The key issue that both Iran and the United States have is over the nuclear reprocessing. And it doesn't seem like Iran wants to give up that ability. And that's a major concern for all participants from the United States and its regional partners and allies over that critical component of what could potentially be a nuclear weapons program.
Washington and Tehran talked indirectly in Oman, with Muscat once again playing diplomatic middleman. US and Iranian teams stayed in separate rooms, shuttling messages through Oman's foreign minister. Both sides called the talks constructive, cautious language, but no door slammed shut.
در مجموع میتونم بگم که شروع خوبی بود، ولی ادامه اون منوط به این هست که ما در به اصطلاح پایتخت‌ها مشورت‌هایی رو انجام بدیم و در مورد چگونگی ادامه تصمیم بگیریم. این که عرض میکنم در مورد نفس ادامه تقریبا توافق نظر وجود داشت و قرار شد که ادامه پیدا کنه، ولی اینکه زمانش، چگونگیش، تاریخش، اینها رو در مشورت‌های بعدی که از طریق آقای البوسعیدی انجام خواهد شد انشاءالله تعیین میکنیم.
The focus stayed narrow. Iran's nuclear program. No missiles, no regional flashpoints. But hours later, the US struck at Iran's shadow fleet, targeting 14 firms and vessels accused of covert oil shipments to evade sanctions. Diplomacy backed by pressure. That's the dual track we see unfolding now.
Conflict or potential conflict between Iran and the United States has some major implications for both the energy markets, but also regional security as a whole. There's been a lot of shifting alliances and shifting issues in the Middle East, and any conflict, of course, could dramatically alter that situation. It seems that both sides are very clear and have an understanding that this could be a major concern.
To understand the signals Iran is sending and what Washington must demand in the rounds ahead, we turn to former Deputy Ambassador to Iran, Prabhu Dayal, who witnessed Tehran's playbook up close.
Tehran views the indirect talks in Oman with the United States as a very good start and a professional attempt to establish a framework for future negotiations. Despite significant mistrust following US military strikes on Iranian sites in June 2025, Iranian Foreign Minister has described the atmosphere as positive.
As the next round looms early next week, Iran has signaled several key strategic and diplomatic positions. Positions that will shape whether these talks evolve into serious negotiations or stall once more.
By participating in the indirect talks in Oman, Iran has signaled several key strategic and diplomatic positions to the international community. Firstly, it has signaled its willingness to de-escalate. So after a period of intense military confrontations, Iran's return to the table signals a desire to prevent a full-scale regional war.
The former ambassador has also stated that Iran has also signaled the strategic use of neutral intermediaries.
Iran doesn't want any settlement. It wants a fair and honorable settlement. And I think that it has signaled that the choice of a venue is very important. But above all, Iran has signaled that while it is open to discussing enrichment levels in exchange for sanctions relief, its right to enrich uranium remains a non-negotiating red line.
Then there's this interesting India dimension to the conflict, the Shia community in Jammu and Kashmir. Shuja Jafar, Shia scholar from Kashmir.
ईरान और जो अमेरिका है ये दो डिफरेंट सोच है। ईरान जो है, जो शिया है, वो इंसानियत को फरोग देता है, और जो ये हमारे अमेरिकन हैं, ये इंसान को कुछ समझते हैं, इंसानी जानों की यहाँ कदर नहीं। एब्सेंट फाइल में देख लीजिए इनके सरबराहों ने क्या किया। ये एक लंबी बहस है, ये छोटी बहस नहीं है। लेकिन इसके साथ साथ मैं बताऊंगा, शिया अमेरिका को इंसान दोस्त नहीं समझता है। यहाँ इंसानियत और इंसान की कदर ही नहीं। जो ईरान है उसमें दर्स है इमाम हुसैन का, जिसने करबला में अपने घर बार लुटा दिया इंसानियत के लिए।
Looking forward, expect consultations in both capitals before round 2. The United States may press to widen the agenda, bringing missiles and proxies back, while Iran holds firm on nuclear-only scope.
Well, I think a deal can be reached. Well, you have to get in position. We have plenty of time. If you remember Venezuela, we waited around for a while, and we're in no rush. We have, very good talks going with Iran. We have very good talks going with Russia and Ukraine. We're doing a lot of good talking, and I think we had the results today were with Iran. It was a meeting. We're going to meet again early next week, and they want to make a deal. Iran, as they should want to make a deal. They know the consequences if they don't. If they don't make a deal, the consequences are very steep. So we'll see what happens. But they had a very good meeting with a very high representative of Iran, and we'll see how it all turns out.
Iran says enrichment or nothing. Washington demands ironclad guarantees against a bomb. The stakes couldn't be higher. The carrier strike group's presence underscored a two-track U.S. approach: talk at the table, pressure offshore. Just days earlier, U.S. jets operating from the carrier intercepted an Iranian drone. A reminder that military tensions remain high even as dialogue resumes. For Tehran, the message was clear. Negotiations come with consequences. The coming week will decide whether this becomes negotiation or just another diplomatic pause.
All right, and the last one, India's inflation numbers are getting a major makeover. After more than a decade, the government is updating the consumer price index base year from 2012 to 2024. This isn't just a technical change. It reflects how Indians spend today. Less on food, more on housing, education, health, and digital services. The new CPI basket includes new items, new weights, and for the first time, online prices. Experts say this overhaul will give policymakers, businesses, and households a more accurate picture of inflation. But some warn it may underplay the cost of food for lower-income families. The first data from the revised CPI will be released on February 12, but its impact on markets, policy, and daily life begins now. More in this report.
India's inflation compass is being reset. After more than a decade, the government has rewritten how price rise is measured. What you eat, what you pay for rent, what hurts your wallet the most. All of it is changing.
So this inflation index is meant to rebalance just the food inflation against other forms of inflation, and this will help us more accurately track what is the trajectory of inflation.
The Ministry of Statistics has announced a new consumer price index base year 2024, replacing the decade-old 2012 series. The new CPI is built on the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey 2023-2024, capturing how Indians spend after COVID, after digitalization, after inflation shocks. The first data will come on the 12th of February 2026, but the impact begins now in policy making, in markets, in how inflation will be read and reacted to. For decades, food ruled India's inflation story, but now that dominance is shrinking.
The base year has been updated from 2011-12 to 2022-23-24, which is again to show that how the consumption patterns have changed at the household levels. Expenditure on housing, water, electricity and gas have now a larger share, which is increased from almost 10% to 18%. And household expenditure is this time also including e-commerce platforms, airfares, OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, telecom plans, even airfares for that matter, clothing, footwear, health. These categories have also been assigned greater weightage.
Food and beverages weight falls sharply from 45.86% to 36.75%. At the same time, housing explodes in importance from 10% to 17.66%. India's CPI is officially moving from a kitchen-centric inflation model to a rent and services-driven one.
एक रिक्शा चलाने वाला है, रिक्शा चलाने वाला भी स्मार्टफोन लेके अपना ब्लॉग बना रहा है, वीडियो बना रहा है, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि मैं खरीद सकता हूँ. वो दिन की उसकी कमाई हो रही है तभी वो स्मार्टफोन खरीद रहा है. मेरी कमाई नहीं होगी, मैं स्मार्टफोन कहाँ से खरीदूंगा? तो मैं इसको कुछ नहीं मानूंगा. सरकार बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है, बहुत अच्छी चीज़ें कर रही हैं और आगे आने वाले समय पे भी जो हमारा आने वाला फ्यूचर है, आने वाले हमारे बच्चे हैं, जो सरकार आज के दिन कर रही है, हमारे बच्चों को बहुत बेनिफिट होने वाला है.
Why people are buying? Because they have the money, right? If they have money, they have purchasing power, or the finances is made available to buy that. So when all these things are available, of course, the people are going for that.
इन्फ्लेशन से मुझे नहीं लगता कि जो इंडिया की इकोनॉमी उसके अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस आएगा, पर ये कहा जा सकता है कि हल्का फुल्का डिफरेंस आएगा. और जैसे कि हम देख सकते हैं कि जो इंडिया की इकोनॉमी है वो 7.7% से ग्रो होगी और पिछली हमारे 6.5 का रिकॉर्ड था और 7.2 के आसपास हम ग्रो करेंगे. तो इससे जो आम लोग हैं उनकी जेबों पे बहुत ज़्यादा भारी फर्क नहीं आएगा, पर यह कहा जा सकता है कि हल्का फर्क उनकी जेबों में देखने को मिल सकता है.
This shift reflects that Indians today spend less of their income on food and far more on housing, education, health, transport, and digital services. Urbanization, rising incomes, post-pandemic lifestyle changes. All of it reshaped household budgets. The new CPI is bigger, sharper, and more modern. India's inflation math has finally entered the digital economy era.
Overall, the middle class and urban middle class especially, their expenditures are reflected much better now in these with these new updated base year and new basket of goods and services. Because we see that in cities, the expenditure is moving more towards service-oriented buying that we see at the household level.
Critics warn, does this underplay the pain of food inflation for the poor?
Food inflation hits them the hardest. So the volatility basically reflects the true reality. CPI is not just a statistical number, it is also the lived struggles and crisis of the working class, of the poorer, vulnerable sections, marginalized sections of society. So their interests and the inflation that they experience on the ground is going to be very underrepresented because this weightage on food has been slashed from by almost 10 percentage points, and this will therefore not reflect the true picture of how the inflation is experienced by the poorer households.
So why update the base year, one might ask? Base year updates are necessary because what households buy today looks very different from 2012. New goods, new services like digital, e-commerce and subscriptions matter now. CPI baskets must refresh every 5 to 10 years to stay credible. Outdated weights can lead to distorted inflation signals and policy errors.
महंगाई तो साहब बहुत फील हो रही है, हर चीज़ की महंगाई है और कहीं कोई फैसिलिटी के नाम पे कोई चीज़ नहीं है। तो फ्लाइट के टिकट्स बढ़ जा रहे हैं, बेहिसाब बढ़ रहे हैं, कोई हिसाब किताब नहीं है उसका, कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है गवर्नमेंट का। दूसरा चीज़ है कि महंगाई जो रोज़मर्रा की जो सामान जो खाने पीने की चीज़ें हैं वो तो महंगी होती ही जा रही हैं, बट सरकार बोल रही है कि इन्फ्लेशन रेट कंट्रोल में है, लेकिन हमको तो समझ में नहीं आता कि कैसे इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल में है। मेरी सैलरी वाली सेविंग तो कंट्रोल में है ही नहीं, खर्चे तो एकदम बेहिसाब हैं, तो कैसे सरकार का इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल में है मेरी समझ के बाहर है।
The CPI 2024 reset is not just about numbers, it is about what India has become. A country that eats differently, lives differently, and spends differently. With the CPI clock reset to 2024, India steps into a new inflation era.